Welcome to Blue Marble Learning Scene Home Creations. Today we're going to be showing you how to make your own deodorant from things you probably already have lying around your house. It's going to use 5 ingredients, the first of which is baking soda. You're going to need 1/4 cup or 4 tablespoons of baking soda for the recipe we're making today. The second ingredient is cornstarch. You're going to need half the amount of cornstarch to baking soda, so that's 2 tablespoons or 1/8 of a cup. You will also need tapioca flour or arrowroot flour. This is the same amount as cornstarch, which is 2 tablespoons or 1/8 of a cup. And the star of the day, our coconut oil. You are going to need 5 to 6 tablespoons of coconut oil. Finally, our last ingredient is essential oils. Today I'm going to be using tea tree oil, bergamot, and lime for my favorite deodorant smell, but you can use any combination of essential oils that you want. Making the recipe is actually very, very simple. All you need is a bowl to mix all your ingredients in, and then the ingredients I just laid out in front of you. So I always start with my coconut oil, putting that 5 to 6 tablespoons right into the bowl. This will need a little bit of warming up if it's a cold day out, as it is a solid at room temperature and a little more liquid in the summer on warmer days. You can microwave this if you want to get it a little bit warmer, but we decide typically just to mix it with our elbow grease and make it a little bit softer. Coconut oil is the star for my favorite reason in that it leaves my underarms nice and silky smooth and moisturizes them. So once I've got that a little bit more liquid or softer, I can start adding the rest of my ingredients. So I'm going to start with my baking soda. It goes right in. And that's 4 tablespoons of baking soda today that we're using. Then I'm going to add my cornstarch, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. And my arrowroot flour or tapioca flour, 2 tablespoons of that. Then I spend the next couple minutes or minute mixing it in and trying not to get it all over myself. This will require a little bit of patience as you warm up the coconut oil and mix the dry ingredients in, but don't worry, it may seem like that's not going to happen, but it will. Again, if you want to make it a little bit easier, you can microwave and warm up and liquefy your coconut oil, but we actually like the texture a little bit better when you don't heat up your coconut oil. So it's up to you if you want a slightly more whipped deodorant at the end or if you want a quicker making method. So the reason that we added the coconut oil was to help with moisturizing, but it also helps fight those bacteria that cause smells in our underarms. We use the baking soda because it helps absorb those smells as well. The cornstarch helps to absorb the liquid, and then the tapioca flour, arrowroot flour is there to bind it all together. Unfortunately, baking soda can be a little bit irritating on some people's underarms. So if you find that after you've used this that it's a little bit harsh when you rub it in, you can go ahead and cut down the amount of baking soda that you're using, or you can eliminate it altogether, but it won't work quite as well. There are also other ways to make homemade deodorant from things in your home. This is only one of them that I actually discovered over 6 years ago and have been using ever since, and it is my personal favorite, but it is not everybody's. I know some people where the baking soda bugs them quite a bit, so they take it out or they use a completely different deodorant. And others who actually have very sensitive underarms have found that this recipe is actually quite good for them. Once I've got this mixed in pretty good, it's still not quite there to a paste, but I'm going to add my essential oils. And what you want to do is I always add tea tree first, and because I like the smell of tea tree and my underarms are used to it, it is kind of strong and can be a little harsh. I add 10 drops, but I'd recommend if you're starting with tea tree that you go with 5 drops or less. It is one of the key things I recommend using because it helps fight off that bacteria that causes smell in your underarms. but you don't need to use it at all, or instead could use something like cedar essential oil, which also does that. Next, I'm gonna add my bergamot. I'm gonna add 5 drops of that, or slightly more if I lose count. And then I'm gonna add my lime. This 5 drops of lime also, or a couple more because I like the smell of lime a little bit more than bergamot. You can add as many as you want. In total, we're going for about 20 drops of whatever combination of essential oils you're using so that it permeates through your entire deodorant. Now, I am making a large batch of deodorant today, but you can make any amount. If you want to cut down, you can do half of a recipe where you use only 2 tablespoons of baking soda, 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, and 1 tablespoon of tapioca flour. And then you use 2.5 to 3 tablespoons of coconut oil. Or as long as you make sure that your proportions are about 1 baking soda, half the amount of cornstarch, and half the amount of tapioca, and just slightly more coconut oil than baking soda, then you can make your own recipe also in any quantity. It's actually good to get up and give it a little bit extra pressure. There we go. Again, I mentioned I could have done this by microwaving the coconut oil and it would have gone a lot faster. It would have been done a little bit ago. But I prefer this fluffy texture of deodorant. Okay. So I'm all mixed. After I'm done, I just add it into my container of choice, and I use a small glass Tupperware container. This one, I already have some deodorant in because I was running low. That's why I needed to make some more. So I'm just going to go ahead and add that straight into there. The one thing about making homemade deodorant is apparently if you're uncoordinated like me, you make a mess. But also, since we have coconut oil in here, and coconut oil is a liquid at warm room temperatures, it can be quite soft in the summer and gets harder in the winter. So some people like to keep it in the fridge during the summer so that it's not a liquid pile that they're adding to their underarms. I personally just like keeping it in a cooler spot, and it seems to be okay. And then in the winter, you can just use the back of your fingernail or a spoon to help you get it out. But if you find that you're not liking the fact that it gets liquid in the summer, you can add beeswax. So you add about 2 tablespoons of beeswax, or mixing it up depending on how hard you want your deodorant, and that can actually help you make it a little bit more solid in the summer, and can also help you to turn it into a stick if you want. I have made travel size deodorant where I add the beeswax and then I put it into a muffin tin and I create little pucks of deodorant that you can just wipe on. Otherwise, what you have to do is open it up, take a little pea-sized amount. That's about the amount that I use, and then you just rub it into your underarm like you would here. And it actually feels really good. The coconut oil is moisturizing. There's a little bit of grit from the baking soda, but it does disappear really easily into your underarm. So that's our homemade deodorant. Hopefully you're a little bit cleaner than I am today. I'm really excited to keep using this. It's the thing that I've been using for the last 6 years, and we hope that you enjoy it at home.